Good evening, and welcome to the City of Rockville's celebration of one of our outstanding delegates, Delegate Jim Gilchrist. We are so privileged to be represented in the city by an outstanding D17 team, by an outstanding county council member, I call him council mayor, and by an incredible General Assembly organization, the whole Montgomery County group. So I really want to just say a couple words about Jim. I first met Jim many, many years ago when his brother Don tutored Meg, our youngest, in math. I don't know if you remember that, Don. But it was quite an eye-opener for me as a newcomer to Rockville and Montgomery County into the longevity of the Gilchrist family and the history that the Gilchrist family has in Montgomery County. I then went on to learn a lot about Mr. Gilchrist, County Executive Gilchrist, and the legacy that family, your family, has given to all of us here. And we are so very fortunate for all of the good works that you all have done, individually and collectively. Jim has been an incredible delegate for the city. His focus on the environment, on transportation, on things that matter to our daily life has really been instrumental in bringing us forward, in helping us to succeed in what I like to call keeping Rockville a small town in a big city. While we have grown exponentially since I moved here in 1981, we have been able to keep that small town feeling of neighborhoods, of knowing each other, and of being respectful for all the differences and the diversity that we have brought in to our city. And that's the blessing that I think is Rockville. So Delegate Gilchrist, I want to thank you for all of your time. Don't get up yet. There's other people who are going to speak. But I want to thank you for your open door, for your willingness to go above and beyond at all times, for taking calls in the summer while you were out and about. You and I had a long conversation 2 summers ago, if you remember, about things that were going on. And I just really, personally, and then on behalf of the city, want to say thank you very much for all you've done. So. To speak to what a good person Jim is, Delegate Gilchrist is, it is worth noting that there are several former mayors in the audience. Mayor Stephen Van Grack, Mayor Susan Hoffman, and Pete Fosselman, Mayor of Kensington, who I guess decided that Rockville is a better city, and he moved with his husband to our city, which is a great thing to say about the city. We are full of mayors. Now, I don't know how great that is, but it's kind of fun. I also want to recognize Councilmember Bob Wright, who has continued in his service to the city on the Financial Advisory Board, on the Charter Review Commission, and many, many areas where he continues to bring his expertise and his love of our city. So thank you to all of you for being here, and I want to toss it to County Council Member Sidney Katz, who will be followed by our State Senator Cheryl Kagan.
Well, thank you, Madam Mayor. You know, when I was trying to, today, you know, I was thinking about Jim, and I think about him every now and then, not just for tonight, but for those of you who are lucky enough not to know me, I'm actually the former mayor of Gaithersburg as well, and of course, Jim, whoever that was, thank you very much. And Jim, being District 17, is, I guess, still up until a couple days from now, a delegate representing both Rockville and Gaithersburg. So we saw Jim on a pretty usual basis. But I got to thinking, you know, when I first got involved in government, I was elected, and I remember telling my mother, I said, you know, they actually put honorable in front of my name now. And my mother turned to me and said, you better be honorable. And I got to thinking, you know, Jim Gilchrist's parents could have actually had that same conversation with him. He was raised to be what he is today, and his mother is here, and so she deserves certainly a great round of applause. And we mentioned his father, but his father was truly just a marvelous person in general, but just a terrific public official. And that apple didn't fall too far from the tree. Whenever there was a situation, and we've been very fortunate in District 17 to have such fine representation, but whenever there was a situation, you knew that you could call on a fellow by the name of Jim Gilchrist. And he was always there. He was someone that if there was an event, you looked up and there was Jim. And there is still Jim. I've seen him at events up until a couple of weeks ago, last week, I guess. And so it is truly an honor for me to be able to say what a good guy he is and what a fine family he comes from. But beyond that, Jim Gilchrist, let me just tell you, your mark on Maryland and on this area will be here forever. Thank you very much for all that you've done.
I'm Cheryl Kagan, very proud to be the senator for Rockville and Gaithersburg, and unfortunately, I'm the only person from the District 17 team who is actually around and in town tonight, and so Kumar is sending his love and respect from Thailand, and Delegate Julie Polakovich-Carr is at a conference out of state, and our delegate-elect, Joe Vogel, is on the freshman bus tour, and goodness knows what part of Maryland he has stopped at tonight, but they are, I was on the very first freshman bus tour, and for those who aren't aware, they load dozens and dozens of us, and they take us to every nook and cranny, and we bond and we get exhausted, but it's a wonderful orientation. So I am speaking on behalf of the three of them as well. You all know that Jim has served us honorably in the House of Delegates for 16 years now, and his term continues until January 10th or January 11th at 11:59 a.m. when the new General Assembly will be sworn in. His focus on the environment, on oysters, and on making sure that District 17 has its interests represented has been so valuable and so important. And you can ask any member of the General Assembly to describe Jim Gilchrist. And, you know, a lot of us think, you know, politics, it can be ugly, it can be contentious, it can be partisan, it can be nasty, it can be a lot of things. Every single colleague will say the same word. Jim Gilchrist, he's so nice. And that's after all these years of service, Jim, to have people know you as nice and as someone that they like to work with and like to collaborate with is really just such high praise and such a legacy for you to leave. And you've had a legacy of public service before your time in the House. You worked at the Department of Housing and Community Development, as well as with our fabulous Montgomery County Office of Intergovernmental Relations, who is here today. They were here, they're here. Oh, they had to leave. So, but headed by Melanie Wenger and with Sarah Morningstar and the rest of the whole team, and you helped make sure that Montgomery County's interests were well represented in Annapolis. And so there's just the four of us, Jim, just wish you the very best of luck. And Phoebe, it's just so lovely to see you again, his wonderful mom and his niece and nephew and sister-in-law and brother. And I want to give a special shout out to everyone who's ever worked for Delegate Gilchrist. And I know there are a bunch of you here. Teresa and Kate and anyone who has ever worked on Delegate Gilchrist's staff, are there some folks that I maybe don't know, but just raise your hand or something. So thank you for your, oh, and there's some outside there, but thank you for the work that you do, because without our staff, we couldn't be as effective as we are and represent Rockville and Gaithersburg. So with that, Jim, we wish you just the very best for continued service, activism, great good health, and much joy, and a continued legacy of being the nicest guy in any room you are ever in. Thank you.
Before I turn it over, over to Councilmember Pershela, I'd like to call up Councilmember Ashton and recognize former Councilmember Virginia Onley, who's here. And there's a seat up front for you if you'd like to join us or not. Councilmember, you're welcome to come in. But Councilmember Pershela.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Well, that's enough of this very fairy stuff. All right, so I'm just going to relate not an incident, but something that happened. So many of you remember Frida's Cottage when Peerless Rockville was rehabilitating Frida's Cottage, and that happened over at least several weekends. And it was a lot of hard work. I mean, you're on your hands and knees and cleaning up stuff, whatever. And here comes Jim Gilchrist, and he joined right in, you know. And I just respected that so much that it's one thing to show up and glad hand people and work the room and stuff like that. But if you come to an event like that where you actually spend a couple hours not politicking, but doing something to advance historic preservation or whatever. So to me, that's the thing that I'm going to take away. Jim, as well, is a nice guy. We all know that. But also, you know, whenever I wanted to talk to him, he's just so easy to talk to and get the scoop, and he'll spend hours with you on the phone if that's what you want. So thank you a lot, Jim.
Councilmember Ashton, and I am remiss in stating that Councilmember Beryl Feinberg would have been here this evening. She just had her 4th surgery in 14 months. I know we all send her our best wishes for a speedy recovery, but she also sends her very best wishes and thanks to you for all your service. Councilmember Ashton.
Delegate Gilchrist, I just wanted to, as one of the newest council members, say that you were very early on to be someone who welcomed a new leader and said, what do you need? Here's what I've done. What context do you need? And he just was very welcoming. And I think that is an important part of politics, is helping to train the next generation to leave an open door and to represent our community. So I just want to thank you for your many years of service. I know that it takes a lot of sacrifice. I know that even more now. But I also know it's a tremendous honor. And it's something that we take very seriously because we care about the people we represent, the community we represent. And I know that although you will be officially retired from this role, that you'll continue to be a good steward and a mentor to many of us. So thank you.
I hadn't planned to speak, but, you know, once a politician, always a politician. You never turn down the opportunity to speak. Jim, you have been tried and true. You have been a great friend, neighbor, and constituent. You've represented us well. You've been faithful, and we are certainly going to miss you. Anytime we came to you with something, you didn't turn us away. You made sure that you helped us accomplish whatever we needed to accomplish, or that we understood, you know, that we were up against a brick wall. And I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Delegate Gilchrist, while you're standing, if you'd like to come up here, we have a couple things for you. I'm going to read a certificate from the City of Rockville. Whereas Jim Gilchrist was raised in Montgomery County and lives in the city of Rockville, Maryland, the best city in Maryland. Whereas Jim has served as District 17 delegation for the City of Rockville and the City of Gaithersburg for the past 16 years. Whereas Jim's common sense approach to problem solving, sound judgment, and kindness has protected and served the interests of the city as it has developed and expanded over the decade. And whereas Jim's hard work and devotion to the city's interest helped guide the city through challenging times and have played a crucial role in many areas, such as serving on the Ways and Means Committee, Education Subcommittee, Finance Resources Subcommittee, Joint Committee for Children, Youth, and Families, Realignment and Closure, and whereas during his second term, he moved to the State Environment Matters Committee, where he served on the Housing and Real Property Subcommittee and the Environment Subcommittee. You've been very busy. Whereas Delegate Jim Gilchrist has distinguished himself with his intellect, integrity, and professionalism, I would add kindness. Whereas the Mayor and Council of the City of Rockville and our city staff are deeply appreciative of Delegate Jim Gilchrist's years of dedicated and distinguished service to the City of Rockville and Gaithersburg citizens. Now, therefore, on behalf of all the residents and employees of the City of Rockville, the Mayor and Council do hereby express sincere appreciation and gratitude to Delegate Jim Gilchrist for your outstanding service as a District 17 delegate. The City of Rockville wishes the very best of luck and much happiness to you in all your future endeavors. And from all of us, we have a key to the city.
Oh, I've always wanted a key.
When you unlock all the answers, please let us know. Yeah, please, Jim.
Well, Madam Mayor, members of the council, everyone who's here, former mayors, and just thank you so much. Being in politics is odd. Probably everybody in this room has watched some West Wing episodes, and probably everybody has watched some Veep episodes. Well, my office is more like the Veep office. But if you visit Cheryl or Kumar or Julie, or I'm sure to be soon to be Joe Vogel, that's more the West Wing part of the equation. The only thing that would keep me from being outtakes from Veep, indeed, is my former staff, 3 of whom are here, and my current staff, Carlene McLeod, and formerly Kate Kerr and Teresa Warman. And maybe you can explain why Carmel put up with me for 10 years, because I don't know how she did that. But I do want to thank all of you, and let me say my mom is in the audience, Phoebe Gilchrist, and she'll tell you that I sent her a card one year. It said, "Happy holidays from your little monster." She kept that card for years. You still have it? Still has it. And my brother Donald and his family, my sister-in-law Tanya, my niece Maya, my nephew Ben. Ben, did I let you watch TV? No, I didn't. I didn't. So I really just want to take this time to thank all of you, and I so appreciate the reception and the proclamation and the key to a city. I've always wondered, about the key to a city. So thank you all, and I'm so glad you turned out. It's so good to see all of you. It's been a great run, being a legislator from District 17 with all the names I've mentioned and the ones before. I mean, Mike Gordon, Andrew Platt. Going way back, Mary Borgers, Frank Shore, Joe Owens, Jenny Forehand, Bob Jakes. Who remembers Bob Jakes? Yeah, it's just an honor to be part of. So thank you so much, and I'll just leave it at that. Thank you so much.